Okay, friends, I'm still empty, pretty much. I've got crickets here now. I love to keep the windows wide open whenever possible. The crickets aren't quite as loud as the birds, though, so you may not be hearing them. Now, it is 4:11 of 2011, and Mayan day is 8 Ahau, Lord, light, or sun. It's been an auspicious day for me, just in its emptiness. It's been very strange. So, I think this is an ideal time to share something with you that I didn't write. This was written by a wonderful correspondent over the internet that I have from Canada, and his name is Tim. And I hope you're settled down in heart and get ready for an adventure. This guy is quite the adventurer in consciousness, I want to tell you. He can be a little trippy and tricky to keep up with. But this one's quite a ride, and I got his permission to record it. On YouTube, he's Troutfish70. Now, I'll preface it by saying this is back from early March, and it was sometime around when I posted a video talking about Alex Collier, and one of his videos where he says the Andromedans taught him that their understanding of reality is that there are 11 dimensions, and that they abide on the 5th. We're here on the 3rd and getting ready to launch to who knows where. And they spoke of the Patal, or the founders, the ones who came down from the highest dimensions to create this reality. And what else is relevant here? Tim mentions this in what I'm going to read, so I wanted to give you the background. In that video, Alex Collier says that the Andromedans have been told by their guides and those above them in consciousness, sorry for the linear talk, but you can only do so much with words. Those from the 7th, 8th, and 9th density or dimension have said that there's something new being created up above 11D. And they said it's 12D, and it's quite different from all of the other dimensions or densities in that it's one. And there's a certain aspect or element, no matter how subtle, of duality or polarity in the rest of the dimensions. I think I'm recording or remembering this right. But in the 12th, it's not so. It's all one, it's all whole. And they further said that these beings are unheard of. There's no stories or anything about them. No one's ever heard of them. And they have this ability to look down from the 12th density and to see into all of the other dimensions and densities. And that's distinctly different as well. So I don't know how much all of that relates, but just to remind you, and it'll help present a context for this. Okay, get ready for the title. So if creation is the theme, let's pluck that from the ether at its inception. Who is they speak to now? Why, themselves, of course. What do you mean? They exist in many parallel worlds, times, densities, and places, Majesty. They talk to themselves. They learn in this manner. But then they are not paying attention to me, and I am a princess. Well then, you will have to tell them a story so gripping they listen to you, and your voice shall have to be so strong as to drown out their other selves, who themselves must be so gripped they live to hear only you. I shall outlaw it then. Talking to yourself shall be bad. Who knows who it is they are talking to? Perhaps it is a devil, a spotted dragon, or other hideous things they might imagine. I shall tell them stories of war, of hate, and scare them, thrill them, and they shall hear only my many thoughts, and shall hear only me. And I shall do it by means so subtle they shall never suspect. There is a war in Afghanistan. Opium crops up 400%, and an invasion occupation. An election is rumored as opposite parties promise to dump the government over the budget, as major pieces of legislation and speeches from the throne are always matters of confidence in the government. Gas prices set to rise as CDN Looney spikes at 3 cents over par. Don Cherry, in a very loud suit, again has said something off the cuff that offended someone somewhere again. Hockey fans continue not giving a damn at all. Yeah, so Cherry said something outrageous again, and what's your point? He's right half the time, just like everyone else on TV. Of course, they are telling you a different story. Feel free to tell me what it is if you want, but if it is anything like our own, it isn't all that worthwhile following. One of the things I have learned and gotten into arguments over is that a drug is not able to produce an effect as in a creation of the mind or of the character. All it can do is exaggerate or inhibit something latent but existing prior to and independently of the drug ingested. And as such, most, if not all, of our addiction model treatment philosophy is fundamentally flawed. We, as a being in the body, existing separately, independently, and prior to the body, which is in itself merely an arrangement of energy particles rotating just right to produce a cast body or physical form. Your video mentioned the 11th dimension. It comes from the M theory, multiverse as opposed to uni or one universe. I agree with almost everything except its presentation. How to tell the truth and lie at the same time is an old trick of black magicians and their advertising executives' offspring. The best place to hide is in plain sight. There are 11 dimensions that we are now capable of mathematically summing up and expressing in an equation of theoretical math. Brilliant! But that in no way implies the uni, which translates into a multiverse as in a split. No, 11 of the infinite parts of the one universe have just become plain to us in math. Part of the rules of the upper class society is that they will only answer the questions posed. If you do not know enough to ask the right questions, they will not offer the information to you. This makes the ignorance of the masses the fault of the masses. This level of consciousness that holds that to be correct comes at immense benefit and consequence. What we hear from the media and even YouTube clips is the multiverse, the 11 dimensions of existence, as if it implies the universe is split, and we should keep that image of separation and division in our heads, as opposed to daring to look at it as parts of the whole. And 11 parts of it can be summed up by this equation. The guidance is subtle, and you have to go willingly by simply listening to the story they are telling you and never, ever exploring it as a possibility within yourself. Because if you were to start talking to those other selves spread out into the parts of the whole, because it really is a fractal reality, you might start imagining things for yourself, and then you would not be listening to the story told to you. Your physical body is human, and your line goes from right this second to the beginning of time. And being by being, they left that memory in the DNA that also builds the body for you. The DNA gives you your parts in life. It lulls you to sleep in the correct land, in the dreams you have. Did you ever wonder why they were so anxious to build a DNA database? They would like to know how many yous they are dealing with and upon which line to the beginning of time, past and future, you follow. You're everywhere, of course. As I said, the mask of consciousness the upper classes have has consequences, as in limitations. They are plodding along, assuming their own lie to be correct. It is a divided, multiple, finite, 11 dimensions, and that's it. Not infinite finite, and therefore you are as well, and so are they. They imagine the masses as limited, and so they see the universe as divided. They are caught up in their own box as much as anyone else is. They aren't going to find an end to the chain. The more they look, the more they will find, until sooner or later they are forced to the point where accepting infinite everywhere all the time and no time, and beings talk to each other no matter what you do, they will have become like us and will stop their nonsense. Until then, it's just wait and watch. The Earth is communicating with the greater consciousness of the solar system, which it is a part of on a physical level, and we are still measuring it as if it were a physical exchange. And so we are finding evidence of it in solar flares and other strange instances. instantaneous, through the vacuum of space transmissions of stuff from here to there. Solar flares and other strange, instantaneous, through the vacuum of space transmissions of stuff from there to here, physical. The emotional level is transmitting back and forth as well as the intellectual level. And from the ether, the very beinghood of this greater organism is talking to the other things in its reality. Mitosis is the next step, and when that occurs, the material reality is going to start looking less solid and more jello-like, and at that point, the earth will accommodate exactly what your level of consciousness will support, and that will become your reality in your immediate environment. You said we came down from the 11th dimension. Good. Let's start there, because that is as far out as I can imagine possible, thanks to theoretical math. And it is almost impossible to do any more than just barely imagine, let alone try and talk to it or hear it speak to me. We came in from infinite, and we are going back out the same way. We came in from infinite to finite and back again. Next is one massive step up into a transition as all levels, plateaus, and so on are until you return to being the whole of the universe itself. The stories we are being told about strange men hanging about in caves and commanding a worldwide network sounds like a tale from a comic book from the 40s, with all the sophistication of its telling of a Get Smart episode. Not only is the timeline about to end, the entire play is. Infinite division of the earth is possible. The larger group of those still caught in the storyline and concerns being told are going to stay in their worries, as are the people who want to live in a land with pixies and talking trees and leprechauns, is going to be able to create their own environment. On some timelines, the planet that is coming is going to smash right into the planet and destroy both. On other timelines, the two planets pass through each other, splitting the Earth in separate vibrational levels. On others, the aliens on that planet will liberate us, and on still others, it will enslave us. And on even more timelines, we defeat them and take their planet and become galactic bullies. All the plots we have imagined are about to occur. You just want to be aware of what you're picking. The universe won't care what. It will just perform commands. You see, the point of the story is they would like you to stay with them. They want your attention, and they want your reality to be their dream. And you and everyone else are free to do that, or anything other than that. When the small children beings grow up a little more and go through the play a few more times, they will go home. But you must understand that the elite upper class we have been following stopped in comic book lands. It is us that went far past them long ago, and it is us they have been learning from as a mass. And we have been here for ourselves and made it all very real because we were dreaming their dream. The story so good, we stopped talking to ourselves. Do the forbidden and assume you're everywhere. And have a chat with yourself. And ask a lot of questions. At the dawn of some people's new age, you can go talk to them, making that experience real for a while, but they too will fall asleep and dream a young child's dream for a while. Just because your view of the reality changes does not mean the reality ceases to be. We will be walking through their dimensions, but they will not be able to come to ours. And that will be our transition period back up into infinity. You know, I have no introduction for the above and no conclusion, but I have been waiting to say the above for a long time. I've gotten halfway through it here and there, but I always got cut off or distracted or told to be quiet or have another beer or something. So, thanks. I love it. Creativity. It's marvelous. And one thing I'm certain of. Not too many. But one thing is that your thoughts matter. Watch your idle thoughts. And consider you're creating. With every thought, every word, all of our deeds, all of our feelings, we're creating. This has been kept hidden from us. It's one of the things those who have been controlling things for so long have taken advantage of, is that we are creators. And by creating a mass reality and beaming it out through the televisions and the media around the world, where everyone gets basically the same story, they've been able to manipulate creation itself. Now that's not working out so well for them anymore. Lots of reasons. For one, time and cycles are coming to a completion, and things are changing no matter what. We're getting ready to come fully into the galactic plane, the photon belt, the energy that's being emitted from the center of the galaxy. It's very, very powerful. Altering, changing, uplifting. And so there's that. But we're already in the leading edge of it and have been for some time. And I believe that's one of the major things that's helping us to awaken. Frequencies are rising everywhere, and it's supporting us coming back into our own. And so just keep coming into heart. And don't be afraid of some really grand adventuring. You never know when you might be communicating with an illumined one on the other side that you can't see. Another version of yourself. Your higher self. Your guides. You in another lifetime. You on another dimension. Who knows? Ultimately, it's all one. See you soon.